Good afternoon. How you folks doing today? All right. Ready for some music, huh? All right. Before we get started, my name is Carsby Anderson. I'm the president of the board of the Monterey Jazz Festival, and welcome on behalf of my fellow board members and everyone here on the Monterey Peninsula. Welcome and thank you. Thank you for being here today. Before we get started, we want to take just a moment to thank our parents, teachers, and students for your support and participation of this wonderful event. Without you, we wouldn't be the best next generation festival. A special thank you to our adjudication panel, Lauren Sevion, Adam Larson, Steve Weiss, Tanya Darby, Jeff Hamilton, and Bob Minster. Those folks are right back here, and they're doing a lot of hard work for us. Thank you very much. We're going to get started with some music, and I'll come back and give you a few more updates about some of our sponsors and support here. But before we do that, we're going to have some music. And from Albany, California, the Albany High School Jazz Band, directed by Craig Bryant.
Thank you, everyone. That's an arrangement of Lullaby of the Leaves, featured Jet on trombone, Julian on trumpet, and our pianist Devin, and our drummer Vincent. Lullaby of the Leaves. We're going to play a tune called Union by Michael Conrad. It's going to feature Thomas on alto, Jet on trombone. A big thanks to everybody for hosting this wonderful festival for us all, and it's a wonderful weekend we get to be a part of. And thanks to my parents who are here from Albany, and we really appreciate you driving down to hear us, and all the East Bay schools. A big shout out to all you guys. We're really proud of everybody here. Yeah. And also to my family who's watching on the live stream at home, and my wife who is 39 weeks pregnant. And I have not gotten a text message to leave the stage yet, so that's I was concerned I wasn't going to make this gig. So anyway, we're going to close our set with Chronometry by Fred Sturm, and it's going to feature Thomas, Vincent, and Luke on guitar. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Albany High School Jazz Band, directed by Craig Bryant, Albany High School. Did you know that the California Jazz Conservatory, one of our sponsors, is offering a full tuition 4-year scholarship? Make sure you stop by the CJC booth for more information. And we have some sponsors we'd like to thank, but please look in your program and you'll see the list of all of the sponsors. But right now, we'd like to thank the North Coast Brewing Company, District 7 Wines, and Inns of Monterey. All those contributions help towards making this a free event. Thank you very much. While we're getting set up, we just want to welcome you, and we also want to take just a moment to thank our parents, teachers, students, and our community for your support and participation in this wonderful event. Without you, we wouldn't be the best Next Generation Festival. Did you know that Berkeley College of Music is holding auditions for high school musicians tomorrow from 9 to noon across the breezeway in the Driftwood room of the Portola Hotel? Make sure you give it a try. Full scholarship offered. We have a couple of sponsors we'd like to thank, but please make sure to check out your program for the list of all of the sponsors: the City of Monterey, the California Jazz Conservatory, and the California Arts Council. Remember to check out the clinics and visit the college fair. And thank you for purchasing a program. The proceeds from the sale of the programs and merchandise goes towards helping us provide this event free of charge. We also have a summer intensive jazz camp. It's coming up June 18th to 21st in 2019. Check out the information at the education booth in the lobby. And then also for many of you who've also been to the Monterey Jazz Festival, we're celebrating our 62nd year this year, and we'd like for you to join us at the Monterey Jazz Festival on September 27th through the 29th. Tickets go on sale on May 10th this year. Here we go, here we go, here we go. From Folsom, California, the Folsom High School Jazz Band 1, directed by Curtis Gazer.
Thank you. That was Chuck Owens into the blue. That was Kevin Koo on trombone, Matthew Wang on trombone, Tyler Jenkins on trumpet, Sam White on trumpet. We're going to slow things down and do a Jim McNeely tune entitled Absolution. It'll feature our lead tenor, Brian Nipper. Thank you. We're going to close with Don Sebesky's tribute to Ellington. This is the closer entitled Madly. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Folsom, California, the Folsom High School Jazz Band 1, directed by Curtis Gazer. Folsom High School. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I think we first need to thank you and support all the parents, teachers, and students who've come out to support their fellow brothers, sisters, and children. Can we give those folks a round of applause? Thank you, parents, students, teachers, for supporting those folks. A couple of sponsors we'd like to thank as well. And for the complete list, we'd hope that you look through the program and see the complete list. We'd like to thank right now the Hardin Foundation, the California Humanities, and the Community Foundation of Monterey County. All those organizations go a long way in helping to make this a free event. Remember to check out our clinics and visit the college fair. How many of you have done that already? Anybody visit the college fair? And the kids, have you did some of that? You know that California Jazz Conservatory, one of our sponsors, is offering a full tuition 4-year scholarship. The scholarship is offered to qualified graduating seniors performing at the Next Generation. Applications are available at their booth. You ready? You're fine. This is your show. This is your show, not mine. You ready? Next, to entertain you from Upland, California, the Upland Jazz Band, Upland High School Jazz Ensemble 1, directed by Mark Capalbo.
Thank you. Good afternoon. We're Upland High School Jazz Ensemble, and we're thrilled to be here. That was our very own George Stone's original entitled West Wings. And it featured, Ethan Soto on the piano. And Scott Middleton on the soprano sax. And Matthew Stockbridge on the trombone. And Seth Clark on the drums. Thank you. So great to see so many of you out there supporting jazz. I hope you're having a good time today. We're really thrilled to be here, as I said. Our next tune is a Dave Caffey original, and it's entitled Goodbye. It's going to feature our lead alto, Mr. Scott Middleton. Thank you very much. We have one more for you this afternoon. Hope you've enjoyed it. This is an original Christine Jensen piece entitled Blue Yonder. We started playing it a month or so ago, and we fell in love with it, so we hope you enjoy it. It's going to feature, who are we playing on this one? Abby Barrett on trombone. Noah Taylor on the flugelhorn, I believe. He's going to play flugel. And Scott, you playing on this one? Scott Middleton again. Ethan Soto on the piano. Oh, and Seth Clark on the drums. A lot of soloists on this one. So, Blue Yonder, we hope you enjoy it. Thanks for having us, and we're really thrilled to be here.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Upland, California, the Upland High School Jazz Ensemble 1, directed by Bob Capalbo. Thank you. Okay, as we get set up here, I'd like to make a few announcements. I'd like to take a moment to thank a few more of our sponsors and would hope that you'd look in your program to recognize all of them. We want to thank this afternoon the Pebble Beach Company Foundation, the Arts Council of Monterey County, and the Star Foundation. These folks go a long way in helping to make this a free event for all of you. We want to thank them. Remember to check out the clinics, visit the college fair. You don't want to miss that. One of the things you might want to check out is Berkeley College of Music is holding auditions for high school musicians tomorrow from 9 to noon across the breezeway in the Driftwood Room of the Portola Hotel. Make sure you give it a try. Want to thank you for purchasing programs. Those go a long way in helping to support what we do here for free as well. And want to mention to you that we have a summer intensive jazz camp here on the peninsula. It's scheduled from June 18th to the 21st. Want to check out the information at the education booth in the lobby for more information about that. And then in September, we're celebrating the 62nd year of the Monterey Jazz Festival, September 22nd to 29th. Some of the groups that you see here on this stage and other stages will be appearing at the festival. You know, I also want to skip from the script. We have some folks who've been working hard this morning, be working late this evening. Those are the folks who handle the stage, our stage crew, led by Joel. Can we give them a round of applause, please? Joel? These guys are on it the whole weekend. We want to thank them for that. We'll be back to announce our next group in just a few moments. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? It's great to see you here in beautiful Monterey. This is the Berkeley High Jazz Ensemble. We're going to start off today with a. Oh, do you want? Are you going to do an intro? No, go for it. Come on.
I'll give you a little bit more deep on it if you want to. Ladies and gentlemen, from Berkeley, California, the Berkeley High School Jazz Band directed by Sarah Klein.
Hello, everybody. It's on now. That was a Frank Foster tune called Discommotion that he made for the Basie Band. And it featured Leo Zarita on the piano, Graham Messer on the piano, also Camille Collins on tenor, Gavin Jeans on tenor, Laurel Fink on tenor, on trumpet. That was Max Neerlich and Willie Wertheimer on the drums, Ben Esposito. We're going to slow it down a little bit with a Duke Ellington tune. This is John LaBarbera arrangement of Phantasm, and it features Quinn Rocklinone on soprano saxophone and Graham Messer on the piano.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Berkeley, California, the Berkeley High School Big Band, directed by Sarah Klein. Now, before you get up and walk, real quick, we want to thank our adjudicators for this room this afternoon: Lauren Sevian, Adam Larson, Steve Weiss, Tanya Darby, Jeff Hamilton, and Bob Mintzer, all back here. Thank you very much, folks. And if you were here last night, you heard them perform. Now, also, if you were here last night, you heard our artists in residence perform. Those folks are Allison Miller and Derrick Hodge. They are now about to begin a clinic right here in this room, so if you're interested, which I think you might be, hang on, okay? Thank you very much.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. How you doing out there? Yeah, Next Gen is in town. So as we usually do, we give our ears a little break from all the big band madness here in the Serra Ballroom and take a little time for a workshop with our artists in residence. And we've been so lucky over the years to have such great artists in residence working with us year round in our programs at Monterey Jazz Festival, and this year is no exception. Both Derrick and Allison are fabulous artists, they're fabulous educators, and particularly communicators. And we're delighted to have them with us, not only for Next Gen, but also at our summer jazz camp and back at the Monterey Jazz Festival in September. So we've got a few minutes here where they're going to share a little bit of their thoughts and wisdom with you. So without further ado, please welcome our 2019 artists in residence, Allison Miller and Derrick Hodge.
Hello. That was fun. I have to say that I think that's maybe my favorite part of playing this music, or of coming from the jazz idiom and coming from a deep love of improvisation, is that I get chances in my life to have a musical conversation in a spontaneous spontaneity and dialogue with other musicians, especially when I get a chance to do it with someone like Derrick Hodge, is probably the highlight of my whole life. So that just now we played together. We didn't talk about what we were going to do at all. We just started playing. And for me, that's, I think, my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah, it was kind of cool because we wanted to give you guys something honest, you know, and if we're talking about creative approaches, we didn't want to start with talking about it. We wanted you guys to experience us being creative and reacting to each other right in the moment, doing something that we've never heard each other do before, you know, in this context with each other. And it was kind of fun because of, also it was kind of like the content choice. You know, we went from a Radiohead vibe, not playing it fully, just playing kind of what we wanted to play, parts of it, snippets of it in the moment, then going to a classic, you know, Beatles song, and then ending on a vibe, you know, as Allison just went with the spirit, we went into a Love Supreme, you know, and the fun thing about it is it's all acceptable, you know, it's all music, it's all honest, and it's all naturally us. And that's kind of why we wanted to approach talking about creative ways, especially in new directions in music, because without forcing new directions, the best way to always do it, in my opinion, is to start with what do you believe is honestly your voice. And oftentimes that the genesis of it is acknowledging what are your influences, you know, and that's one of the things that just kind of in my travels and meeting a lot of different musicians of different ages, I hear so much promise, and the sky's the limit, you know. And then I ask some of the, you know, talented musicians, oh man, what did you check out as a kid, you know? And they oftentimes mention the musicians that they think that I want to hear, you know. They'll mention, to go down the line of legendary musicians, you know. And then sometimes just to mix it up, I'll say, oh man, did you hear that new whatever record, you know, and I'll bring up Bruno Mars or something. And when I see the way this same musician that just played the most amazing solo over Confirmation, when I see that same musician light up, when I mention something that's current, it's like, aha, that's a part of you too. That's amazing too, that's acceptable too. And the way you react to me just naming an artist in a band that's doing music of this time, even in the pop vein, but something that speaks to you, sometimes I then break it up and mix it up and say, you know what? Let me give you my email. Let me hear you if you apply that same energy, just blowing over some Bruno Mars piece. Send me that. Let me hear that. Even if it's just a voice memo, send me that recording. And then along with that, send me something. I want to hear you write something. Not just solo. I want you to make something up. I want to hear like what it is that you're into. And just email it to me. And the coolest thing about that is it just opens up to mine, and it lets them know, oh, shoot, they're trying to get to what it is that I have to say. And that's the beauty of this whole thing, is about opening up the mind to challenge you to ask yourselves those questions. What is it that you want to say? And chances are, if you're honest to your influences, we're all products of our time. If you're honest to taking time and documenting that, and even getting with other musicians that are down with trying some new stuff that is your honest approach to whatever, and document it, it's going to be relevant to the time because it'll be relevant to you. So that's the beginning of this today, trying to figure out what that is for all of you and challenging you, you know, to open up that mind. And even in putting your all into the music that we do here, just opening up ways of figuring out what it is that you like, and figuring out ways, how do I tap into my honest taste and apply that to even the instrument that I might play or the way I might compose and beyond, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
just what you said.
Yeah.
I was thinking while you were talking about that it's like the food we eat, right? This is what makes us who we are. And it's like when I was a kid, and you know, my mama would say, you know, I'd leave out the stuff that I wasn't supposed to eat that I ate anyway, and I would just tell her the good stuff that I ate, right? But really, I'm all of those things, right? I'm the can of SpaghettiOs that I ate, and I'm the salad that I ate, and kind of bringing all of those elements in and really kind of accepting all those parts of yourself as a musician and is so freeing in a way, you know. I remember when I was I'm a Washington D.C. kid, and you know, I grew up on like the first music I listened to was just what my parents listened to, right? So they listened to like a lot of classical music, a lot of jazz vocalists, and then great bands like Earth, Wind and Fire and the Meters. And so I just kind of, you know, sucked in all of that music. And then when I started kind of getting into my own thing and discovering music on my own, I was a real 80s kid. And I was absolutely 110% obsessed with Prince. And that became my everything, my be-all, end-all. And after that, I became obsessed with this music from D.C. called D.C. Go-Go. And so no matter, you know, from there, then I went away, you know, I started getting more serious about straight ahead jazz. And I think that I kind of pushed those styles put them on the back burner for a while, and until I realized that it's actually all kind of coming from the same place, and that it's just in me. It's in me. It can't go anywhere. And accepting that was actually a really freeing moment in my life to just bring it all together, and, you know, to think of it as treating music as it's all equal, and it's all equally important and influential in your life. And also, you know, Derrick and I both compose, and, you know, one of the things that I'm heavily influenced by in my composition is just the sounds and the feelings I get from my surroundings. I live in New York City, and my music is definitely influenced by just walking around the streets of the city. So I encourage everybody in this creative process, this creative journey that we're on, that I feel like we're the lucky ones to be on this creative journey, that we hopefully will do until we're old. You know, I encourage you to just check out, like, open your eyes and be curious and check out what's around you, because you might be inspired to write something or play something from hearing something. You know, for me, I hear rhythms on the subway tracks all the time. I can't tell you how many voice memos I have of me trying to record the subway rhythm. I also hear it with, I always hear, like, if I'm walking past a couple strollers in my neighborhood, the juxtaposing polyrhythmic gait of each of those strollers gives me so many rhythmic ideas. So, you know, it's really everywhere if you just open your mind to it.
Yeah, I remember for me personally, coming out of high school and getting into college, it was one of those things. There was so much information I was being fed all at once. Luckily, fortunately, being from Philadelphia, you know, it was a hotbed of talent. So I was able to play a lot of different styles of music and get on a few different types of records all at once. And then I remember I would leave that situation and go to school, be there by 8:40 in the morning and be there until 4:40, just playing, being inundated with so much music from 1940s on and even prior, you know. And to take that music seriously, I had to respect the music. Jazz is one of those things, man. It's one of those idioms. You have to put so much time in, you know, as you all know, just to be okay. And just playing over blues, you can't just get by. You guys have to listen to it. You know, you have to spend time, you know, even with your professors, or just shedding or listening to it. It has to become a comfortable language to you, even to express yourself honestly. So I was one of those kids. I listened to it around the clock, you know, transcribe, had to, you know, learn a lot, and actually just recorded myself actually trying to attempt to honor that tradition and the music. But what gave me that patience to really separate it and be willing to go hard at respecting the jazz was understanding myself, that wasn't something I necessarily grew up on. So I wanted to stay connected to, okay, well, why did I pick up the instrument in the first place? Why do I like it? So I would spend sometimes 15 minutes in the morning just listening to whatever. It could be from New Edition to doggone Biggie Smalls or, you know, whatever at the time. But whatever helped me stay connected to just loving the music, that was my saving grace. So when I was able to turn that off, when it came time to do the other 4 hours of practicing and listening, I wasn't trying to prove a point to have my voice. I was able to respect it because I wasn't overly trying to cater to, okay, well, this is my vibe, this is my sound. No, I stayed connected to what I liked and then separated and worked on my jazz, and worked on my oral skills, worked on my training. So I challenge you to do that. But in balancing that, even being young, from high school on, I say, ask yourself, what do I like? Am I cutting myself off from other things that make me enjoy the music? Nobody can answer that but you. I challenge all of you. It's never too early or too late to discover your own voice and be willing to document it. You know, we just played something that was like Radiohead into the Beatles into A Love Supreme. That just happened to be a couple things that was on our mind just in this moment, in this day. And we were comfortable with not trying to call standards. We said, let's just do something else, what we like. That comes from the practice of listening to what we like and being willing to express it. I encourage you guys, even now, you know, in going new directions, don't try to force it. Just listen to yourself. I spoke about it earlier. Start recording yourself on voice memos. You can, even after jazz combos and whatever, even after you leave here, you leave Monterey, just laughing and joking with your friends on the bus or on the plane. You pull out that voice memo, man, I got an idea that's in my head. Oh, man, I just played a trumpet solo at the Monterey Fest, but I just feel like this idea, I just want to sing. Don't let that go by. Don't let that go by, because in reality, all that time that you worked on, you know, becoming better at your craft as a student, if you start paying attention to what it is that you have to say as an artist, when you find that one spark, that one idea that you document, even if it's just doing that alone and being patient with yourself and documenting that, that could turn into, when you get back, you know what, I might want to pick up a drum machine and figure that out. I might want to get to the keyboard and figure that out. You know, see the idea all the way through. And all of a sudden, you're producing. All of a sudden, you're on social media following all the producers, trying to figure out ways to get that new sound out. And it'll be authentic to you. You know, so I challenge each one of you, even early, just start listening. Ask yourself now, man, what is it that I like? What do I really like? And be unapologetic and unafraid to actually be patient with yourself and start recording that. Voice memo has been my best friend. You know, just be willing, even in class, you know, get to school early sometime like I did when I was in school, and literally just start creating. You never know. You never know what might come of that, you know? Yeah.
I also wanted to just bring up the spirit of the collective spirit, you know, and, you know, Derrick has his team of people and friends and partners that he's developed over his career that he likes to collaborate with and be creative with, and I have my team of people, and then we have these spontaneous creative collaborations. One thing for me that's been really important in my life, in my musical life, well, it's all the same, in my life, has been my collaborations with friends, and so much so that sometimes in one of my bands, we write all the music just by passing along voice memo ideas. That's become a really fun way to collaborate. So maybe I hear a beat, and I just kind of like beatbox it out into the phone, and then I send it to my friend, my bandmate, and then she takes it and maybe writes some chord changes. She'll send it back to me, and I write a melody, and we write music like that. And for me, like that kind of creativity, co-writing together and collaborating, is, I think, the most gratifying and productive, and it feels like it becomes like family. It really does feel like family. You know, our musical collaborations, for me, are like my chosen family, my musical family. So I encourage you to get together. You know, this weekend, you're here, you students, you guys are here with your bands, but you're also probably meeting a ton of different musicians. And maybe you really hit it off with someone and you decide to do something like this, like share voice memo ideas. The technology that we have today really gives us that opportunity to be as creative as we want. Like, we can do anything, Derrick and I could write a whole record probably in a week just from sending ideas back and forth,
That's a good idea, actually.
Yeah. Hey.
What you doing next week?
Wherever I am, I got my phone, so.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that's a really, a really important thing to think about and also practicing, Derrick and I loved how you're talking about, really putting in that work and compartmentalizing, having this moment for yourself where, you are working on this, you're listening just to whatever you're in the mood for, whatever feels like you, and then you put that aside and you go into the shed and you really work on your jazz vocabulary and your technique, because it does take a truly extreme dedication to this music to get to a place where you can speak, you can sing on your instrument. That's really what we're all trying to do, is sing. And so, thinking about that and like, okay, here I am, I'm in the shed, I'm practicing. What am I practicing? Sometimes that can get a little dicey too, and really, pinpointing what you want to work on. I know for me, when I was younger, I would go through a phase where I just would be obsessed with one drummer. So, for instance, I went through an Ed Blackwell phase, and I got every single one of his records. This is before MP3s. Whatever I could find, I got, where he was a side musician or a leader, and I just transcribed as much as I could. I listened as much as I could. So I had let's say I had 3 hours to practice, I would have maybe 15-minute very specific warm-up that I did, which was Michael Carvin, a really amazing drummer, one of my teachers, one of his exercises, and Lenny White was another teacher, so I had his Lenny White exercise, and then I had the Alan Dawson rudimental ritual, which is this rudimental exercise that a lot of us drummers use. And then I would have like my Ed Blackwell time, and then I'd have like my play along to Elvin time. I really compartmentalized my practicing, and I think that was good for me, and now I don't have as much time to practice, but I really do love practicing, and I'm also composing, so I split that time. But for instance, like my discovery of new music has become at the gym. It's like that's when I'm listening to just the stuff that's totally getting me right now. Right now I'm obsessed with this artist No Name. And then, so that's what I'm listening to when I'm just walking around and then working out. And then I get into the practice room and I'm working on something very specific. And I might only have 45 minutes, but I'm very focused about it. So I don't know where I'm going with that, but I think it's important to do that, and also to practice with a friend. Practicing with a friend is really, really fun. So I encourage that.
Yeah, and one last note, I was just going to say again back to one of the just innate advantage that you all have being here and doing jazz. Again, like we said, it just, if you take this music seriously, it just prepares you for so many things orally, especially if you want to decide to actually really break down and do some things on your own, really start to try to understand harmony and all these things, even document ideas that you might have. Take those raw ideas, maybe with or without sheet music, and start transcribing yourself and apply those skills that you're working on and developing now. So as you're looking at chord changes and all those things, use that advantage of hearing jazz in a certain way and understanding how chords are kind of structured, and actually start transcribing anything you hear, whether it's music that you like or beyond, your favorite record. I mean, pick up any kind of album and then just start trying to transcribe it and literally try to be honest to everything you hear. Oh, that's an A major 7. Oh, no, that's not a major 7. Oh, wow, that's not even just a straight major. They're adding a second in there. That difference, add 2 to the chord, makes all the difference to how that genre and that sound of that song is happening. Start transcribing even drums. I mean, even if you don't transcribe every note, learn every part of what the drum machine was doing on that or what the live drummer was doing and figure it out. Oh man, what was that producer trying to emulate drum-wise? What was the drummer? Wow, what makes that sound the way it sounds? Even though I'm playing the right beat on my drums, it doesn't sound, oh, it's the tuning. Oh, it's the mic placement. Oh, it's this and that. You start asking yourself questions, and honestly, using those jazz ears with description, that opens up a whole world. Because as you're learning on figuring out how to describe other genres and things that you like, you can now start to apply that to something random that you might make up. If you make up some that just might have like just a certain type of vibe to it, might be a singer-songwriter type thing. Now, since you've been working on that, using those skill sets, you can apply it to your own music and be able to describe it to a singer and songwriter who can read, that will be able to play it more accurately. And now you're in business. You can take that new idea that you have and hit the studio, and now you have a product that's uniquely yours. And what I love, and our goal, Allison and I, wasn't to try to push a specific direction. Honestly, the new direction in music is, it will never be better than what is honestly you, and only you can answer that. So we challenge you guys young. You have the advantage because you're so young. Start asking yourselves now, what direction do I want to go with the music? Never stop asking that, because that'll keep you connected to it, you know? Yeah.
We just have a couple minutes, and we can take a couple questions if anybody has a question for us. Anybody? Yeah. His question was that he is talking about the concert last night, and he enjoyed watching Derrick and I keep order, and how do we kind of keep things flowing and moving in a musical and creative direction with so many people on stage. And I, as a drummer, I have like my two secret weapons for that are basically dynamics and space. I love space. It's one of my favorite things. It's, for me, what makes music so great. So I feel like, when you have all these people, that doesn't mean we all have to be playing at the same time. So I thought there were a lot of really musical moments last night where either I dropped out or Derrick dropped out or, Russell dropped out, and it just opened up the air in the room, and it enables all the listeners to shift their, it's like a shifting of your energy or shifting of your aural focus. So that's one thing I do. And then dynamics, of course, just like I like the bigs and I like the littles. I like the kind of full spectrum of what the drums can do on stage.
Yeah, man, I couldn't even say it any better myself, honestly. And even what Allison said, it's similar to what we're doing right now, taking the time to listen. No ego at all. I mean, the way we actually talk, that's the way we actually communicating on our actual instruments. We allow, which keeps it exciting too, we just allow time, we allow space for that moment of where do we go from here. That keeps it fun. But the key to it is actually not a specific formula. Like for me, it might even be different from hers. What keeps the glue sounding like the glue is the intent to just listen and create space to hear what it is. I think this person might want to say something right here, and I can feel it coming. Let me just back off, and then all of a sudden it's a new vibe that's presented. Or Allison and I can both feel like, okay, we've both been very weighted. We've both been kind of dictating a certain beat for the previous song, and without even discussing it, if we're both being aware to the moment, we might both realize, what, how about we both lay out without even looking at each other? It'll just happen, or like last night, a night in Tunisia, us going back and forth in an organic way with with me not really all out soloing, but Allison also listening, going back and forth, going in, and then us hinting at the melody, and then without even discussing the amount of time she was going to solo, how many choruses, everybody was listening. So when she set us up for the downbeat of the end, for everybody to come in, we all knew without ever discussing it. That just comes from wanting to listen, Yeah.
One more? Yeah.
I'm sorry, say it just a little louder, bro. I'm sorry. Oh man, early you're talking about? Yeah, you mind or? Oh yeah, for me, I can. There were a few, but I can definitively say, especially in my formative years where I was practicing a whole lot. I was 19, and I became friends and started studying with Victor Wooten. And I'll never forget, because at that time, I was, playing a certain style, a little different than the way I played now, but a lot more in that style. And it wasn't until I sat with him side by side, him right here, me right here, and me being blown away in person. But the way he listened, he just vibed out and really wanted to, like I'm speaking to you guys about, hearing what it is that I wanted to say. And I'm like, man, I'm here like just trying to hopefully get your approval on me trying to impress you right now. And he's looking at me like, man, play something. What do you want to play, Derrick? But I'll never forget, he mentioned, you just got to be water. Which was, I think he mentioned Bruce Lee or something. He was like, be water, my friend, or something. That's what he said at the time. And then fast forward, a friend of mine, Kendrick Scott, whose album just came out yesterday. I had the honor of producing for him, but that's his motto in life. I don't know if Bryce Winston is here, but he can attest to that. But yeah, he would say, be water, in everything. Just go and trust it, and it was just the timing in which Victor said that, being willing to be fluid in every situation, not trying to prove a point. That's how I took it. Don't try to overly prove a point. Try to get to the meat of who you are. Just because you're now studying with your hero, which he was for me, instead he ended up encouraging me to just try to tap into what it is that I might want to say. And that informed my style of decision making in the future and the way I preach things to this day, Definitely Victor.
For me, I have two that really changed my life. I have more than that, but one was in my early career, I was working a lot with a great organist, Dr. Lonnie Smith, and he used to call me Little Allie, and I'll never forget, it changed everything for me. We were playing at the Jazz Standard in New York, and he called me backstage, and he just said the most simple thing. He said, he's like, Allie, I know you can play all that stuff. He's like, but he just said, just let it simmer. Just let it simmer. And that really hit me. And after that, I was like, oh, I get it, and just letting it just ride the wave and let the music dictate where you go instead of forcing anything, That was huge for me. And the other one was studying with Michael Carvin, and he called the ride cymbal, like the pattern, right? Whatever your pattern is, he was like, this is your dance. What is your dance? And that he just spent a lot of time helping me with, like, okay, that's Tony's dance, that's Elvin's dance, all these dances you've checked out, but what's your dance? Because only you move how you move, right? So that was huge for me, and so my ride cymbal is my dance, and that helped me really to discover and accept, honestly, like who I am as a person and a musician. So.
So figure out what that dance is for you, and then you'll go your own direction with it. That's what we're saying.
Thank you. Allison, thank you. Derrick, thank you. Thank you all for being here. And we're going to do another quick set change here and be back with the afternoon big band session. So enjoy.